Ever feel like you're just living someone else's life? Like you look in the mirror and it's a stranger staring back at you?
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened to Emma. Kind of got trapped in this spiral of
Yeah.
addiction and abuse, all starting with a horrible loss and a twist of fate
Wow.
in a casino.
One casino.
So in this deep dive, we're going to go deep, into her story, explore the dark side of this like glamorous world
Yeah.
and a long, long road back to, getting better.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me about her story is how it shows how, you know, grief and addiction and just being vulnerable all
Hmm.
kind of connect. And it reminds us that even the things you'd never expect can send us tumbling down a path we never ever thought we'd be on.
Exactly. And imagine, okay, you're in your early 20s, you're dealing with losing your dad,
Oh,
and
wow.
suddenly, bam, you inherit all this money.
Ah.
For Emma, this inherit, was supposed to make her feel secure, but instead it just fueled this downward spiral into, you know, escaping reality and self-destruction.
Yeah, it's really tragic. It shows how money, it can be good and bad at the same time,
Oh, absolutely.
especially when you're already grieving and you don't have healthy ways to cope.
Yeah. And the casino became her safe space. That constant noise, the slot machines, that hope of winning big, it all helped her forget the pain for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And it was in this environment where risky behavior is like totally normal
All right.
that she met Joel.
Mhm.
Seemed charming at first, said he was a drug dealer.
Oh boy, this sounds like trouble.
Oh, it is.
This highlights how some people they take advantage of people who are hurting and looking for comfort in the wrong places.
Hmm.
Joel, he saw how vulnerable Emma was, and he pretended to be someone who cared, offering her drugs and a place to crash just to get close to her.
Exactly. At first, it felt like she'd won the lottery, found a lucky break in all this chaos.
Right.
But this jackpot, it came with a really high price, one that would cost her way more than she ever thought possible.
This is such a classic example of abusers. They use charm, they act generous, pretend to care just to lure their victims in. And the early warning signs were there, subtle, but there. Like Joel insisted on having all her phone data.
Really?
Yeah, and he played these little mind games
Oh, wow.
to make her doubt herself and feel insecure.
It's scary how those seemingly small things, like they're disguised as being protective, but they're really just calculated steps to chip away at her confidence and make her depend on him.
Exactly. It's chilling how abuse often starts small, it's gradual, it takes away your sense of self until you're stuck, dependent, and afraid.
And slowly, his true colors started showing. The possessiveness and jealousy, it went from little comments to these huge explosions of anger.
Oh no.
He'd yell, they get physical, throwing things, ripping her clothes, even dragging her around and throwing coffee at her.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. This slow escalation of violence, it's a classic sign of domestic abuse. It makes it hard to see the danger, even harder to leave. You get used to this cycle of tension building up, then the explosion, then the apologies, the gifts, the promises to change.
And that's exactly the cycle that Emma was trapped in. After the violence, there'd be this like calm period. Joel showering her with apologies, gifts, promises to be better. He'd make her feel guilty, manipulate her into staying, making her question what she saw, and blaming herself for his outbursts.
Classic abuser playbook. They twist things around, make the victim feel responsible, makes it that much harder for them to get help or leave.
And don't forget, this is all happening while Emma is fighting addiction.
Right.
Her judgment is clouded, can't make clear decisions. From the outside, her choices might seem crazy, but when you consider the addiction and the fear she was living with,
Yeah.
it paints a whole different picture.
That's so important to remember. Addiction is this web of needing the drug, both physically and mentally, and it's so hard to break free. Even harder when abuse is involved. The abuser often controls the drugs, making it almost impossible to escape.
It's a nightmare scenario.
Mm.
And then there was a turning point, a tragic event that brought a glimmer of hope to all the darkness. Emma's grandfather passed away, and she felt this strong urge to reconnect with her family.
Oh, wow.
But as she tried to leave Joel's apartment, something terrifying happened. He just exploded, threw her to the ground so hard that he broke her collarbone.
Oh my God, that's a serious escalation. It's a horrific example of how abusers use violence to control and instill fear.
And then, in this truly disturbing display of manipulation, Joel made Emma lie about the injury.
What?
He told her to say she slipped and fell. He even involved his own mother, calling her from Emma's car on the way to the hospital and having her tell him to leave so he wouldn't get arrested.
Wow, he's pulling his mother into this. This shows just how far abusers will go to create this web of lies and silence. They manipulate everyone around them, making it almost impossible for the victim to get help and tell the truth. That's so messed up. Getting his own mom involved, it isolates the victim even more, makes them feel like they're part of the lie, like nobody's going to believe them if they tell the truth.
Right. And Emma, she's already vulnerable, dealing with the addiction. She just went along with it. It was easier to pretend than to face the truth of what was happening. This really shows how complicated domestic violence is, how fear and manipulation can trap you in situations that seem impossible to escape.
It shows how important it is to have people you can trust, people you can talk to. Having that support can make all the difference in recognizing the abuse and finding the strength to leave.
Yeah. But sadly for Emma, Joel had chipped away at that support system. He'd isolated her from her family and friends. Her whole world was just him. And even after that terrible incident with the broken collarbone, she didn't leave. It took hitting rock bottom after the surgery to realize she couldn't keep living like this.
It's like a wake-up call, right? That moment of clarity. The pain of staying is finally worse than the fear of leaving.
Exactly. For Emma, it was this awful realization that even the pain of a broken bone couldn't stop her from using. And that's when she finally told her mom everything and made the incredibly brave decision to go to rehab.
Wow, that's huge. Choosing sobriety over that fear and control, that was a massive step. The start of her journey back to herself. It takes so much strength and resilience to do that.
Absolutely. But even in rehab, a place that's supposed to be safe, Joel wouldn't stop. He kept harassing her, emails, texts, calls, all trying to get her to drop the charges and come back to him. Threatening to tell everyone her secrets, hurt her family. It was like she was constantly being watched, never safe. Scary to think that even being physically away from him didn't mean she was free from his abuse.
It shows you the lasting damage of emotional abuse, how abusers will try to keep controlling you even when you're not physically there. This is why safety planning is so important, and legal protection, having that ongoing support to help deal with the trauma and fear.
And Joel, his actions just got worse and worse, like he was losing it. He even contacted people at the rehab, offering them money for information about Emma, even hinting at violence. This guy was obsessed with controlling her, no matter what.
This escalation, it's a clear sign of how dangerous he was to Emma. He didn't see her as a person, just something he owned.
It's horrifying. But thankfully, Emma didn't give in. Even with all of that, she found the strength to keep going, focused on getting better, on being sober, and the support from people at rehab.
It's incredible the resilience she showed. To
Yeah.
deal with that kind of harassment and fight addiction at the same time, that speaks volumes about her inner strength and determination.
For sure. But even though Joel was finally arrested, the damage was done. She was constantly on edge, anxious, afraid, looking over her shoulder all the time, couldn't trust anyone. It's heartbreaking how the effects of trauma can last long after the danger is gone.
It's true. Trauma can really change you, affect your sense of safety, your relationships, everything. It's so important for survivors to get the right kind of care, help them process what happened, and learn to cope in healthy ways.
Absolutely. And then came the legal stuff, supposed to bring justice, but for Emma, it just felt like more trauma. Waiting forever for his arrest, having to relive the abuse over and over again, telling it to the authorities, the stress of hearings, and in the end, a plea deal that felt like a slap in the face, like her suffering didn't matter.
That happens a lot with domestic violence. The legal system is important to hold abusers accountable, but it can also be really tough on the victims. It focuses on evidence and procedures, and sometimes the emotional impact gets lost. Survivors can feel ignored and like their experiences aren't valid.
It's like they're victimized twice, first by the abuser, then by the system. It's well-intentioned, but often it just doesn't get how complicated and lasting trauma is.
It shows we need a system that understands trauma better, one that puts the survivor's well-being and their needs first.
Exactly. And for Emma, it was even harder because she blamed herself. She couldn't shake this feeling that somehow it was her fault that she'd caused the abuse. This self-doubt, questioning her own actions, it's really common for survivors. It shows how sneaky and powerful domestic violence can be.
Yeah, and it's made worse by what society expects and victim-blaming attitudes. Makes it so hard to come forward and ask for help. We need to remember that abuse is never the victim's fault. The abuser is the only one responsible.
It's a huge step that Emma was able to admit to blaming herself. It shows her honesty and that she's committed to healing. It reminds us that healing isn't about pointing fingers. It's about understanding how abuse works and finding a way to forgive both yourself and those who hurt you.
And it's not a straight line, healing. There are going to be setbacks, doubts, times when the pain feels like it'll never end. But with the right support and being kind to yourself, recovery is possible.
And Emma's story proves that. She didn't just survive, she thrived. She found strength and meaning in her recovery. She learned that healing is a journey, not a destination, and every step forward, no matter how small, is a win.
Her journey is inspiring, a testament to the power of resilience, proof that even after going through something horrible, the human spirit can heal, grow, and find peace.
It's incredible, how Emma didn't let this trauma just take over her life. She used those experiences to actually help others.
Yeah, it's really something. She could have just shut down, but instead she focused on making a difference for people.
She stayed sober for over 10 years, found strength in those 12-step programs.
That commitment to staying sober, it's amazing. It shows how much strength she has, and finding support, finding a community that can be so important when you're dealing with addiction and trauma.
Absolutely, and she didn't stop there. She started volunteering at a domestic violence center,
Wow.
helping women who were going through what she went through.
That's what I'm talking about, turning pain into purpose. By sharing her story and helping others, she took something so awful and turned it into a source of healing and strength for other people.
It's incredible, right, how she took all that darkness and made it into something positive. And she didn't stop there. She got involved with a sober high school. She knew how important it was to reach young people early, give them a safe place to explore sobriety.
That's so important. It's about stopping addiction before it starts, breaking those cycles of abuse. By supporting that, she's helping create real change, not just for those kids, but for their families and communities, too.
It's amazing how one person's journey can touch so many others. But even while Emma was building this new life, helping people, the past still had a hold on her.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's not easy to just forget something like that.
While Joel was in prison, Emma signed up for that Vine system, the one that tells victims about changes in the offender's status. It helped her feel a little more in control, but it was also a constant reminder of what happened.
Right, it's a double-edged sword. It gives you information you need, but it also keeps bringing up that trauma.
Exactly. Those updates, she needed them. But they brought back so much anxiety and fear. It showed her that even though he was locked up, he was still a presence in her life.
That's what's so tough about stalking and harassment. The fear never really goes away. You're always wondering where they are, what they're doing. It can be crippling even with legal protections in place. It shows how important ongoing support is, helping survivors stay safe even after the immediate threat is gone.
It really does. And during this time, Emma faced another challenge, something a lot of survivors struggle with: how trauma affects relationships. She started dating again, hoping to find love and stability, but all that stuff with Joel, it came back as trust issues, messed up communication.
That makes sense. Trauma can shape how we act, how we interact, even when we don't realize it. Being afraid of being left, needing to be in control, overreacting to things, all of that's normal after trauma, but it can really hurt relationships.
Yeah, it's like carrying this invisible baggage from the past, repeating patterns that don't work anymore. But Emma, she's amazing. She recognized those patterns and got help.
Good for her. It takes a lot of awareness and strength to do that.
She started therapy with a therapist who specialized in EMDR and tapping, techniques that help you process trauma and change negative thinking. And that's when she started uncovering these buried memories, making sense of everything in a safe place.
Therapy can be so powerful. It gives you that safe space to work through those things, to finally deal with the pain and start to heal.
Absolutely. And the deeper she went in therapy, the more she uncovered memories she had completely blocked out. It shows how amazing the mind is, protecting itself from pain, but it also shows that healing means facing those dark places, even when it's terrifying.
And having a therapist who understands trauma is so important. They can help you process those memories safely and effectively.
And through it all, Emma never gave up on sobriety. She leaned on her 12-step program, finding comfort in sharing with people who understood addiction.
That sense of community, of not being alone, it's so powerful in recovery. You can be honest, you can be vulnerable, you can support each other, all crucial for healing.
It's kind of ironic, right?
Yeah.
Addiction made her vulnerable to Joel in the first place, but her commitment to sobriety became her biggest strength. It helped her escape that cycle of abuse and build a life with purpose and meaning.
It's a beautiful example of how even when things are really bad, we can find a way to overcome those challenges and create a better future for ourselves.
It really is. And eventually, Emma found love again, this time with someone who was patient, understanding, and supportive of her healing journey.
That's wonderful to hear. It shows that healing is possible, that you can find love and happiness after trauma. It reminds us that even though the past leaves its mark, it doesn't have to define us. With time, healing, and the right support, you can have healthy relationships built on trust and respect.
You're absolutely right. But even with a loving partner and a good life, Joel's abuse still cast a shadow. After he got out of prison, he violated parole and ended up back inside for even worse crimes: rape, sexual assault, and attempted child endangerment. It was a terrifying reminder that some people, even after facing consequences, they just don't change.
It makes you wonder how effective our justice system really is when it comes to rehabilitation and protecting people. What Joel did shows he has no respect for the law or for other people.
And years later, long after Joel was out of prison again, he popped up in Emma's life, on social media this time. He messaged her on Instagram, sometimes sounding sorry, sometimes creepy, showing he was still fixated on her.
Those messages, they're so insidious. Even if they seem harmless, they can be really unsettling and triggering for survivors. It brings everything back, makes you feel scared and vulnerable all over again.
It's scary how time and legal consequences don't always erase the trauma. But Emma, she'd come so far, she chose not to engage with him. She knew that any response, even rejecting him, would just feed his obsession and make things worse.
That shows a deep understanding of how abuse works. She set boundaries. She didn't let him control her emotions or disrupt her peace. She put her own well-being first and protected herself from more harm.
It's so powerful seeing a survivor take back their power like that. Emma's story reminds us that we have the right to protect ourselves from people who hurt us. Sometimes that means cutting them off completely, not responding to their attempts to manipulate or control us.
And her story shows us that healing is a lifelong process. There will always be triggers, setbacks, moments when the past feels too close. But by learning how to cope, having a strong support system, and being kind to ourselves, survivors can face those challenges and keep moving forward.
And that's exactly what Emma did. She kept focusing on her work at the Domestic Violence Center and the Sober High School, finding purpose in helping others heal. Her story is about resilience, about forgiveness, about turning pain into something positive.
It's an incredible story. It reminds us that even after unimaginable hardship, there's always hope for healing. It's a story about asking for help, about the strength we find in each other, and the courage it takes to break free from abuse and addiction.
It's a story that asks us to really look at these issues, to see the signs, to offer support without judgment, and to create a world where stories like Emma's are more about thriving than just surviving. What part of Emma's experience resonated with you? How has her story changed how you think about addiction, about abuse, and about the path to healing? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.